My name is Kara Zor-El. I'm from Krypton. I'm a refugee on this planet. I was sent to Earth to protect my cousin, but my pod got knocked off course, and by the time I got here, my cousin had already grown up and become Superman. I hid who I really was, until one day when an accident forced me to reveal myself to the world. To most people, I'm a reporter at Catco Worldwide Media, but in secret, I work with my adopted sister for the DEO to protect my city from alien life and anyone else that means to cause it harm. I am Supergirl.
Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of the podcast entitled Couch Potatoes Unite! Which is based on a blog of the same name, because though we may not be superheroes, we're still a legion, if you will, of our own. Unite with us! My name is Kylie and I love TV. If you feel the same, keep listening, and we're checking out our website, couchpotatoesunite.wordpress.com, as you're bound to find some common ground or something you like. For at Couch Potatoes Unite, we're all about the wonders and unique long-form storytelling of the small screen. CPU, ! Is basking in the new fall season and hopes you've been following releases of brand new episodes of the podcast on Wednesdays, as well as new blog entries on some Tuesdays, and as always, we have several more new episodes on the way. Because the panelists and I live lives behind our podcast, the episodes are published once per week. Subscribe to the blog or the podcast via iTunes, Stitcher Radio, and via Google Play to stay on top of brand new episodes. Episodes already published discuss a variety of shows around the water cooler, including, but not limited to, Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, The Vampire Diaries, The Good Place, Grace and Frankie, Game of Thrones, Broadchurch, Stranger Things, iZombie, Fuller House, American Horror Story, Doctor Who, Supernatural, The X-Files, and Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Plus, new episodes are in the works, including revisits for A Series of Unfortunate Events, New Girl, The Originals, Gotham, Once Upon a Time, 13 Reasons Why, Orange is the New Black, Schitt's Creek, and the Marvel's Defenders panel will talk Season 2 of Iron Fist. We'll be launching new panels covering Sense8, The Crown, Westworld, Arrested Development, Jane the Virgin, and The Americans. We'll be launching a new feature called Versus, where we'll be comparing shows in a spicy debate. And because we look back at shows not as, we'll be looking back at one of our most popularly requested panels of all time, Friends. They're coming. They'll be at Central Perk soon, I promise. That's all. By the way, did you know that CPU also from time to time goes live? We've been live from the Bunker, comedy outlet Mondays at Dog Story Theater in Grand Rapids Comic Con, and we're planning more live appearances and other cool stuff, I'm telling you. So make sure you like or follow us at our Facebook page, our Twitter at CPU Podcast, our Instagram at Couch Potatoes Unite, or subscribe to the blog, our YouTube channel, our iTunes channel, our Stitcher Radio channel, or find us on Google Play. In the meantime, if you don't hear a show in this podcast format, fellow panelists and I still write reviews, and we always seek new panelists. So if you have any interest in joining the discussion, say hello by finding us at any of those outlets I've mentioned. At the very least, stop by and leave us a thumbs up, comment, or review. We like feedback, just don't unleash pestilence and kill the world in the process. Such melodrama. Today, we're around the water cooler and continuing another of CPU's podcast series. This series does not have a fixed number of episodes like other series we do. Rather, it is ongoing and covers a number of shows that fall under one large umbrella, expanding into a quite popular universe of comic book adaptations. With that said, today's episode is part 15 of our DCTU series, in which our DCTU expert panel discusses the DC television universe, i.e. television programs adapted from DC comic book properties that have morphed and expanded into one television universe. In this 15th episode of our DCTU podcast series, we return to the water cooler to talk the third season of the Arrowverse's final spin-off, Supergirl, which aired from October 9th, 2017 to June 18th, 2018 on the CW. Supergirl is an American superhero action-adventure television series developed by Ali Adler, Greg Berlanti, and Andrew Kreisberg, the latter two having previously created Arrow and the Flash. It is based on the DC Comics character Supergirl, created by Otto Binder and Al Plastino, and stars Melissa Benoist in the title role. Supergirl is a costumed superheroine who is Superman's cousin and one of the last surviving Kryptonians. The series is set in the Arrowverse, sharing continuity with the other television series of the universe. In the third season, Kara struggles with the loss of Mon-El, played by Chris Wood, after he is forced to leave Earth. When Mon-El returns, he reveals that he has time-traveled to the 31st century and founded the Legion, alongside marrying Imra Ardeen, a.k.a. Saturn Girl. John Jones, a.k.a. Martian Manhunter, played by David Harwood, discovers his father, Myrn Jones, is alive, and Alex, played by Shyler Lee, deals with her heartbreak after breaking up with Maggie. Kara and Alex's new friend, Samantha Arias, played by Odette Annabelle, is unknowingly another Kryptonian survivor and begins a transformation from a loving single mother into the world-killing weapon known as Rain. Today, in the 15th episode of our DCTU series, our DCTU panel, namely Kyle, Hilary, Spencer, Kristen, and Nick, returns to focus specifically upon Season 3 of Supergirl. Before we get into the discussion, as always, I'm going to take our typical moment to take the panel's temperature. After all, as we all know, sometimes a show can take turns for the better or worse in our heads, or can continue its level of awesomeness or lack thereof, depending upon its story evolution. As always, it should be noted that all of our panelists have watched every single episode of Supergirl through the end of the 3rd season and will without doubt discuss sensitive plot points. So for those of you who are not caught up on Supergirl or really any of the DCTU to date, listen at your own risk as there may be major spoilers. Welcome back, panel. How are you?
Alive.
Hi.
Yeah.
I'm pretty good.
Well, that's just a spectrum of reaction. Are you ready to talk about Supergirl Season 3?
If we
Sure.
had
I mean,
to.
we're gonna talk about it.
Do we have a choice?
Well, the answer is no.
I know.
And to that end, foreshadowing, I guess, we're going to be going over the standard CPU character question, which changes with each show we do. And I have changed Supergirl's character question quite a bit because, what can I say, people? You heard what they all said just now. It's changed a lot. Feelings are already spilling out. So, panel, how would you rate your interest in Supergirl after Season 3 nowadays? Do you watch it because you love Supergirl, you love the character, you love the portrayal, you wish you were Supergirl, or you love dressing up as Supergirl, even if you doubt yourself or your show at times, like Kara Danvers, aka Supergirl? Spencer, you know you do.
No.
Totally can see it.
I've dressed as a woman once.
And it worked well. Do you watch it because you were asked to do so by a good friend who has more than a passing knowledge of DC Comics and Superman, and found yourself loving the show in spite of yourself, and or because you are protective of the show's overall contribution to the DC Superman legacy, and you endeavor to be its guardian, like James, as we all know him as Jimmy Olsen? Do you watch it because your sister watches it, and you're very protective of your sister, even though she's a badass like you have always been, and can make her own grown-up choices, like what to watch on TV? Plus, you want to be mutually supportive too, like Alex Danvers. Do you watch it because you've grown very fond of the characters, even though the story can be somewhat shallow at times, particularly as it relates to the Martian Manhunter, and or you really only watch it for the Martian Manhunter, like Jean Jones, aka the Martian Manhunter? Do you watch it but have developed inner conflict about it? You're not sure it's as good as you remember last season being, and you're also not sure where it's going. Also, you've decided that though you enjoy the main character, you prefer storylines about the Legion of Superheroes more, like Mon-El. Did you start watching the show in earnest this season, but you don't know if you can trust the quality of storytelling, and you don't always make good life decisions anyway, though you admit that you would never be able ultimately to separate yourself from the Superman or Supergirl universe, no matter how much you might want to, like Lena Luthor? Do you watch it because your best friend watches it, or you watch it as a guilty pleasure or as a distraction, since your own life and secret identity are kind of messed up? But after Season 3, you've decided to take a little or a long break from watching it while you considered other options for your future, like Win Shot. Did you decide to jump the shark after Season 3 because you felt the romantic relationships to be ham-fisted, forced, and not at all what you wanted or hoped to see in your superhero entertainment, like Maggie Sawyer? Or you don't want to watch it or hate watching it because you hate Supergirl. You hate the character. You hate the portrayal. You wish Supergirl was off the air and you're ready to kill the whole world. You're a world killer after all because of it. Like Samantha Arias, aka Rain. Who would like to start?
I'll start.
Okay.
I'm Spencer.
Hi, Spencer.
This season, I'm Mon-El.
Okay, why are you Mon-El?
It was dross. It was so ugh. I couldn't get into it. I found the conflicts were boring. It just did not work this season at all.
And you are a big Superman fan.
I'm a big Superman fan, and I really enjoyed season 2 of Supergirl. And the fact that we've lost Windshot at the end of the season is not going to give me any hope for a better season next time either.
Welcome back, Spencer.
I'll go next.
Okay.
Because once again, I agree with Spencer.
Oh, God.
Wow!
Podcast. I agree with Spencer.
The world's off its axis. Who
Listen
are
to
you?
the Luke Cage podcast to see what that means.
I know. So, yeah, no, I'm Monel, and it's not...
What's your real name?
Hi, my name is Kristen.
Hi, Kristen.
AKA the girl who's in love with Monel.
That's true.
It's very true. He's really the only reason I kept watching.
Okay.
I'm not gonna lie. I echo everything that Spencer said. This season was not its best. And yeah, with the loss of Windshot, who's one of my other favorite characters, I don't know how they will recover. He's like, in comparison to the Flash, he's like the Cisco.
God, we do agree on this one.
I know! It's amazing! Yeah,
What the hell is happening?
No!
This is an episode of Elseworlds.
I'm getting so
Which
scared.
Earth is
We
this?
agree!
What?
Yeah, so I don't have high hopes for season 4, sadly.
Just throw kryptonite at both of you.
Welcome back, Kristen.
What color is the kryptonite?
Green.
Purple.
Red. That'd be funny.
Don't add to it. He doesn't need red. Who would you like to talk next?
Sure. I already was.
Right.
I am Hilary.
Hi, Hilary.
What is up? So you're talking and you're talking and you're my sister
That's
and
that last check true.
moderating, and Kyle will talk momentarily, and he's the husband. At some point I will get him to do the disclaimer fully.
And
But-
the world will spin off its axis once more.
Hey, it already is. It may as well keep on
It's
going.
in the air, man. Okay, so I'm still gonna say that I'm Supergirl because I do love Supergirl herself in general. I'm gonna say still from the last time that I'm the Guardian because I'm protective of what it can and should be. But I am going to jump on the Manel description train because everything that it was described as fits all the feelings that we will discuss perfectly, which I'm sure is why you wrote it that way and probably also for yourself.
I mean, I'm not using any new tricks here.
The inner conflicts and the not as good as before and the not sure where it's going, and I still love the things of the characters mostly, but yes, it floundered so badly, and we'll talk about it.
Welcome back, Hilary.
I think Kyle has to go next.
By tradition.
Technically, yes.
Hi, Kyle.
I'm Kyle.
True.
And I would also be Monel. This show had a lot of potential in the first season, and I love the character. I love who they cast as Supergirl, and it's not living up to its potential. I kind of had a feeling it might happen when the big tease was the Legion of Superheroes, because I'm not a fan of them. They're some of DC's lamest characters in my opinion, so I had a feeling it would happen, but then it was worse than I imagined.
Whoa. Welcome back, Kyle.
He always has bold
Except for
statements.
Brainiac 5. I like Brainiac 5.
Oh.
True.
I'll
Brainiac
throw
is
in that
good.
disclaimer.
Okay. Welcome back.
Nick here.
Hi, Nick here.
Let's make it a menagerie of Monels.
All right.
Settle down, ladies!
Kristen just
Big
lost her damn
go
mind
fire.
over there.
It all goes back to the orgy comment from
Kyle, what are you thinking about? Jeez.
Last time you were Jimmy Olsen.
Yeah, was that the same
Nobody
description?
wants to be a Jimmy.
I was last time a little bit.
I mean, I don't
Nice.
want to be him because of the character. It's just because of kind of what she said.
Yeah.
Because he's not my favorite part of that show by any means.
Yes, the Guardian, the Jimmy Olsen Guardian description did not change. It's one of the two that did not.
Huh.
That explains a lot.
I don't know. That doesn't seem right.
I think at the time it was more from the appreciation that all the rest of us had for DC, and you kind of liked that aspect of it.
Also having a female lead, and it's trying to do some things that the other shows aren't, weren't. I don't know. The shine is gone. It still has, in my opinion, still has some of, it's like forced dialogue, and there were some big things that annoyed me. I feel like Alex said the same sentence 10 times in a row.
I mean,
It's like,
hasn't she
You're
always?
not moving, so, yeah, this season, I don't think it got, it's so weird that that's my description, or how that switched, because I feel like this
Season
is about
2 was
this,
very good. Season 3 was not.
I guess I'm saying I think this is as good as 2, but I like 2 less than everyone else, it sounds like.
Okay.
There's some things I liked that happened in this season that we'll talk about, but overall...
Yeah, a couple.
Yeah, there are a couple things, but...
Does that conclude your remarks?
Sure.
Welcome back, Nick. And of course, I'm Kylie, the sister, the moderator, and all the other business. Last time I was Supergirl with a dash of Jimmy Olsen. I will stay Supergirl only for the sense that I do love her. And I will stay the dash of Jimmy Olsen for the sense of what Hilary said, which is I'm a big DC fan. I'm a big Superman fan, which is why this is going to be so heartbreaking. And I would like to guard its legacy, but ultimately I did write Mon-El with myself in mind and probably expected at least 2/3, not necessarily universal agreement from the panel on this. I think Supergirl, where Legends recovered, Supergirl took the opposite direction in equal and opposite way. I know we kind of dogged on Arrow quite a bit, and we'll talk about our comparative rankings, but I felt at least a little bit more energized by the end of Arrow season than I do or have felt throughout most of Supergirl's 3rd season, which is quite a saying. I don't say that just because I think Stephen Amell is hearts. I'm just saying that. Also, I'm not as invested in the supporting characters, I think, as some of the rest of you are, so the fact that we're now even losing them...
But with Windshot being the Supergirl's version of Cisco, losing him is a massive hit.
Detrimental.
I don't know if this
Brainiac
helps
5
or
is staying
for the
it's
next
Brainiac.
season.
They're
They're
filling
filling
him
his
in.
place.
Which I like Brainiac.
I like Brainy.
Which is
but
why I think
not
they
as much.
introduced the I don't need makeup.
Yeah.
Yeah, God, that's expensive and time consuming. How can we get rid of that?
This is more pleasing.
I mean...
That's how that read.
We're jumping right into it, so I will piggyback and say that while I didn't mind Brainy, and he was certainly the least lame, other than Mon-El, and we'll talk about Satin Girl, the least lame of the Legion of Superheroes. He's nowhere. He's not going to be a replacement.
Wait,
No, he won't be able to.
And he's not real Brainiac, so what does it matter?
One of my favorite things from this season was an Easter egg. That tells you how bad the season was. When Brainiac wrote the binary code on Alex's cast, I did some Googling and worked out a number that came from the binary, and when I Googled that number, it was Battle Damage Supergirl. And that was before the battle with Rain. That was the...
And you dove deep for that Easter egg.
I did. It's
you know what? The
year's
steps you
Easter
had
egg.
to go to get to what that
The
Easter
thing
egg
is-
was representing.
And
went
being a true lover of the medium of TV and film, I know when they show something on screen, it's very rarely for no reason whatsoever. So I
They have
thought
to
that
make
there
the
was
most
some
of
kind
their
of secret
time.
message in there that was kind of a reveal or whatever. And I guess it was, with it
was.
linking to a DC toy, which was literally Battle Damage Supergirl. But if that's my high point of the season, it tells you where we're going.
See, and I just am not going that nerdy in my Easter egging. I'm like, oh, it probably just means brainy in binary. Like, that's, average non-comic book viewer.
So tell us, what'd you like, what didn't you like, other than
Easter
Mon-El?
egg.
And
Okay.
the Mon-El.
Okay.
But you can talk about Mon-El. I mean, he is very dreamy.
He has a beard now.
I know. I like it. It's good.
I love this when Kristen does it. It makes me kind of happy.
I like him a lot.
What is the deal with the cape stuff?
He's looking at Kyle.
It's like
Comic book knowledge.
There has to be reason, but it doesn't. I don't think it plays well. I think it looks
Hashtag
stupid.
It does look stupid.
Mon-El does use his cape, but it looked dumb.
Every time he does it, it seems like just
Dr.
fly
Strange.
over there or something. I don't. And that there was that huge training session with Supergirl so she could get her cape
To learn how to
fixed
use her
out.
cape. Is that like a big thing with
It was
Supergirl?
real
Like using
dumb.
her?
It was real dumb.
The supers don't need to use their cape.
No capes!
They don't need to.
I think the biggest
It's
problem
literally
for the,
just for show.
the biggest problem for the,
Batman
fly.
uses his cape, but he kind of...
everything
can't
about
fly.
Batman
He's
is
not
cool.
super.
Yeah.
He's just real
He's
smart.
a man
Well,
with
no,
money
he's super
and
in his
intelligence
way. And toys.
Yeah.
toys.
And he's
Where did he get
a
those
super
wonderful
trained
toys?
combatant
I know, right?
in martial arts in all forms. And all of that
He is
stuff.
a highly driven individual,
Yeah.
which makes
In
him
all
so
forms.
cool.
The
World's
capes
best-
on Superman and Supergirl are just supposed to look pretty when they fly.
Girl, I know.
And have the
I'm
emblem of
on
their
your
house.
train.
Yeah.
It's okay.
I'm telling you.
Oh. So yeah, that's why.
Which makes it even dumber. I was trying to give it the
That
benefit
makes
of
it
the
even
doubt.
dumber.
There isn't a benefit. They just needed a little repartee scene
They were
between
trying to
Chris
be-
Wood and Melissa
yes,
Benoist,
they were
who
trying
are
to
dating
be-
in real life still.
Are
They
they
were-
still?
I thought so.
Kristen's
Damn.
like, damn it. You're
Yep.
dating in real life.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's all right.
Yeah, I know.
You just
Yeah,
have hearts,
sure,
hearts, hearts.
Paul.
David Tennant's married.
I know.
Well,
Whatever.
he's not married yet. That's all I'm saying.
I can dye my hair blonde. For both of them, it's fine.
Yeah, it's getting real
Anyway.
down here.
Talk about Supergirl or Mon-El, or both.
Didn't like Saturn Girl.
No.
No,
She was annoying.
So milquetoast.
She was so annoying and
So much so
odd.
that when they show her for the first time, not the first time, when they show that she's back helping in the big battle, I was like, who's that?
That's who that
And I watched like 3 days in
and
a
they
row
never
of
even,
2
like,
episodes.
I actually had to go back and look to see if they'd recast her.
That's, yeah.
Terrible actress.
Yeah.
Not a great character,
No.
but terrible actress. I did not believe that this whole backstory, I mean, I know it's seated in real places, but just the whole love triangle business was
Yeah.
one of the worst parts of this season. The fact that Kara was so maudlin over him for such a long time, and then she finally reached
She
the
was
point
so
where she was over him.
mean to everybody in the
Yes.
beginning.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that is not even Cart. Now, I get that you had a loss.
And why was she randomly English while nobody else was?
But to be like so off personality trait to everybody because of the loss that you felt you had and you felt responsible
Which
for.
was her sister.
Like, come on. It was too far-fetched for me.
And I didn't
For her
hate-
character.
Yeah, I didn't hate her when she first came on the scene. As long as I logically reasoned to myself, if they go somewhere good with her, fine. They went nowhere with
Nope.
her
Yeah.
except Deus Ex Machina reintroduction in the battle. That's it. It was the most ridiculous. The Legion of Superheroes is lame. I agree with Kyle. It's not one of the best DC stories, but just to
Although
even-
Mon-El was the best part of it.
Yes.
Indeed. But so,
We agree.
right, we're here again. Why? Why did they need that complicated? And they just added so many more characters, and they ignored practically a lot of the characters they did have, or
they did.
gave them really dumb, lame stories, like
James Olsen's become completely obsolete.
superfluous.
Well, I never really loved that concept of him in the beginning, but now it's just way beyond, like, there's no point of return.
The Guardian
He's so
arc
bad.
was fun when it
I-
started, but it
Yeah.
I still
derailed very,
didn't
very
love
quickly.
it.
Guardian arc would have been more fun if
I
it
still
was
didn't love
like
it.
somebody else's Guardian.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
my
true
thing.
too.
It also has no hope because Wynn was part of that.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
that pretty much kills that because he couldn't
Unless-
operate without Wynn.
Yep, so is Brainy going to step in? And that's going to
Well,
be
not
weird.
if Jimmy Olsen just told the entire National City
That he's Guardian.
because he thinks he's Oliver Queen / Tony Stark.
He's so not as cool as them.
And I like the actor.
I
actor's great.
I like the
They're
actor,
giving
but I
him
just
crap.
don't like him for that.
Every season they try to find a new role for Jimmy, and now it's
Because
with
now
Lena,
that he's
so they're
not
like,
the
oh,
love
Guardian.
interest anymore, he
Yeah.
has no purpose.
Well, except that he's now with Lena Luthor.
Yeah.
Which they already
Ish.
have enough going on with Lena.
Yeah.
And now
Yeah.
they're turning Lena Luthor evil.
Yeah.
Well, which I hope they...
Maybe, but yes.
They're
probably.
cheesing
they
us
are.
with
They're
that.
going to.
They're trying to
They
make
have
their
to.
lives,
They have
basically.
to.
They've
Yeah.
just been putting it off just so that they could obviously have some form of relationship before they have this
Then it's-
realization
then it's
that
a
she's
bigger
actually
emotional moment
yes,
between
it's
the two
more
of them.
It's more of a conflict and more that they will have to deal with in the future.
AKA Smallville.
Yeah,
But not as well executed.
Supergirl this season.
She has not found out.
She hasn't found out yet? I
No.
thought she did.
Kara's still her best friend, and
Okay.
Supergirl
Though
is
I
now
will
her enemy.
note-
Oh,
not
that's
enemy,
that's
I
what
don't
it,
know.
that is.
I
Okay.
will note, though, that when Kara comes back with Allura, her mother,
Yeah.
which we'll talk about in a second,
Yep.
comes back with her mother and they're kind of talking to Alex in the hallway. Lena's right inside the door tending to Samantha. Like, how did she not hear them? They weren't being quiet. Like, I think she overheard it and we just don't know.
Well, that or there's recording devices throughout the building because she's a Luthor and she wants to know everything anyway.
And if she's
Yeah.
smart enough to make kryptonite, I think she's smart enough to overhear things.
Well, I think she's smart enough to realize
No.
the facial similarities between Kara and Supergirl. Like, really?
Yeah.
Well,
Come on.
but that's the whole thing.
That's the
all.
suspension of disbelief in the Superman
You
universe.
have to
I know.
do that. You can't.
I know.
You
focus
just
on
change
that.
your hair and put on a pair of glasses, you're all set.
Glasses is the best disguise. Can't you see?
Holy crap! Who are you?
Kylie, put your glasses back on. I don't recognize you.
Yikes!
How telling is it that we haven't even mentioned rain and we were 10 minutes into this?
Okay, yeah, let's talk about this
Let's
because holy shit balls.
I
Sorry.
was kind of excited, and then it just
No,
kind of died.
I was
that's why it's
never
like, I never
excited
liked
because
the
I already
character
knew
in
where
the
they were.
comics.
I already knew where they were going, and the way that they went about it, they were literally directly ripping off Smallville again, and they did not do it well.
Only the Doomsday part, and it was terrible.
Yes, that was the worst part of Smallville.
See, I
was the
actually didn't-
Doomsday
I
part.
actually didn't mind the
Smallville
Doomsday
yeah,
wasn't
Smallville.
I like the
But
scene.
But it was the worst part of
But-
Smallville.
but
It wasn't horrible, but it was the worst
Supergirl
part
was
of
the
Smallville.
worst part of Smallville.
Oh, that's
But
true.
beat for beat, it followed
to me,
it
the-
exactly. They
literally.
beat the human avatar
Again,
who
No,
doesn't
you're right.
know that they have this power, that they're going to be transformed, and it literally followed the entire season 8 of Smallville beat for beat.
I
It
know.
felt like a complete rip.
Well,
Like-
the thing is, she's supposed to be this really, really powerful being, but they gave her such a horrible weakness that she never lived up to her potential.
it was multi-layer problems.
Yeah,
Yes.
it wasn't just that. Because
No, I'm not saying it was
definitely-
just that, but that
that
was a
was-
huge... For me, villains have to be complex, and I always come back to this. If the villain is bad, the show is bad. And that's a big part of why
Well,
the
yeah,
season
I mean,
sucked.
she has to be formidable for Supergirl in all aspects in order to have an effect that we want it to. But
Not just
still-
formidable for 5 minutes, but
Right.
formidable.
I actually
But-
thought them seeding her double life was not a horrible trick.
No.
What
It's-
the problem was in the second half when they actually tried to make her reign. Actual reign for a larger part of the time. And then they were just meditating on how do we make Samantha come back through reign.
Yeah.
And they come up with this whole Psychic Valley place.
Yeah, that was bad.
Yeah.
It's literally the same thing. Almost everything is the same thing. Because Chloe does the same thing in Smallville. She tries to bring him back and tries to help him not be Doomsday. It's literally the same thing. I'm sorry, but it's worse.
Without the Psychic Valley.
And without the
I
good
think
acting.
Part of that may come from the fact that the producers of this show were huge fans of Smallville when they were in their
Or
late
they're
teens
just
and early
not creative
20s.
at all.
But, yeah, well, there's that.
There are multiple problems. I mean, we've already talked about the fact that Supergirl as a comic has been very inconsistent. As an entertainment property, has been very inconsistent. There is no true Supergirl like Superman has. So they're basically, that was one of the problems I noted in the first season, was they haven't figured out how to strike a balance between separating what is Superman and Supergirl.
But they could have still done a Reign story with,
Right.
again, they don't need to. I mean, they have room to develop this story without mimicking everything that's already been done. It's completely possible. They just didn't do it.
And whether the actress was unequal to the task or the directors just didn't know what to do with themselves. I mean, I thought Odette, whatever her name is, was better as Samantha.
Oh,
When
absolutely.
she put the mask on, it was like, oh my
It's like,
god.
what happened?
High school theater version villain. It was
Yeah.
not good.
I think part of my problem with Supergirl now as a property as a whole is the introduction of Superman in the season as a standalone moment wasn't a problem. But in the overarching storyline, every time she now runs into a problem, your first thought is, well, why doesn't Superman show up to help her?
Right.
So in doing it well the first time, they still kind of broke it.
Yeah.
His existence in this property is now a problem for them.
Especially since I keep thinking to myself, she's great and I love her. But I keep thinking that he's so good too. And if only all of these people that we're looking at and watching were the actual real things they're trying to copy. Actually Superman, actually Lex Luthor, actually Brainiac, whoever we're looking at. I keep wanting it to be Superman, not Supergirl.
To
with,
me,
with her along if she wants to come.
See, and that's the thing that worries me about the Batwoman TV show. It's like she
Yup.
doesn't have any of her own
Thank you.
villains. So it's
They're
just
all
going
gonna
to be
be
a
Batman.
Batman
They're-
show
but
with
they're gonna be
Batwoman
crappy.
instead.
just on a different
The
Earth.
Batwoman version
Yep.
that they're going with, she's only been around for like a year, maybe
She has
2
no
or
development.
3. But she has no well of stories. She has no well of villains. So it's going to
literally
feel
gonna be the
Batman
same
show
thing.
with a lesser Batman, and that's the problem they're coming into with Supergirl now.
Honestly, one of the best parts of Supergirl for me at this point is John Jones.
Which I would normally agree with, but they neutered him with the storyline.
Yes,
They
did.
really did.
They keep throwing more Martians into the mix, which
He's
that was
supposed to
I mentioned
be-
that was my problem last season. Is he's the last surviving Martian.
Yeah. Oh, here's Dad. What?
Yeah.
Wait, what? Oh, and there's a whole planet full of Martians still.
Yeah.
Wait, what? What?
And don't get me wrong, I love Carl
I do
Lumbly
too.
from Alias.
Yes,
he was
Alias.
great.
And they can just pop over to Mars whenever they want. It's
Yeah.
like half an hour away, apparently.
In an old 1960s car.
And
Hey,
now,
that's the best spaceship ever.
and even though we're not at the end yet, the fact that he has stepped down from the DEO, like what exactly now is he going to do?
Yeah, now we have Alex leading the DEO, which her character started out well, but then this isn't an anti-LGBT rant or anything. It's the fact that they turned her lesbian just for the sake of doing it, rather than it actually being a natural progression, has kind of ruined her character.
Yeah, well, her original story arc
She's
was that
become an after-school special.
her original character arc was that she was like work-oriented and like overly focused, and she didn't have a social life. But then they kind of like
protected
they
her
tried
car.
to but then they changed her story arc to trying to find love. But
It was forced.
it feels forced. None of it feels like a natural, like a real person.
Well, actually,
they
the only
didn't actually do anything with her storyline.
No,
She just kept saying she can't keep risking her life because if she dies, Ruby has no one.
She's
She
such,
said that
Or she
six-
can't be a mother herself.
Yeah.
she's such a pain in the butt, really. Like, Kara is really patient with her. Oh my gosh. Seriously. The only time that I enjoyed Alex was in the crossover with Sarah Lance, White Canary.
Yeah.
That was fun.
That was
Right.
great. Because again,
And that, anytime
again,
you put
her-
Sarah Lance with anybody, there's natural chemistry.
well, that's what I
Because
said.
she's great.
She's
That's,
really good.
that's the one time that change in her character didn't feel as forced, and it worked well, and she still was a badass in that storyline. She still, showed that side of herself more so, rather than dwelling on all of it just is very soap opera-y, and that's not what I'm tuning in for.
So that's not when
Even
you
so, that's how Maggie should have been, because in the comics, Maggie is a Superman character, surprising.
That's true.
Surprise.
But she's super obnoxious.
She should be this no-nonsense cop who's actually a badass.
Pun not intended.
And then they didn't even use her right. They just threw her in as a love interest and
So now I would
dishonored
like to
that character too.
Now I would like to rant from a feminist standpoint.
Whoa.
Because, we're talking about strong female lead characters. We're talking about comic book properties as a whole. Here we have Supergirl. Where does it start? CBS. The major thrust of it feels Devil Wears Prada with Cat Grant, played by Ally McBeal.
They're pandering.
Then we get to the second season, which was better. It was a lot better, but the main focus was her relationship with Mon-El.
And it still is.
Basically, yes. Not to mention the fact that we're also now focusing on all of the relationships of the supporting characters. Now, there are relationships in the other shows, and some of them are central to their story, like Barry and Iris.
But that's
Oliver
not
and
the
Felicity.
main
It's
focus.
not the main
Right.
focus,
And
and
it's-
it is the main focus on this show, and that feels anti-feminist.
Well,
That's what I felt, especially at the beginning when she was going everything hard-headed and like aggressive and like pushing people out of her life. I was like, that doesn't feel like a strong character. That feels like somebody who's falling apart after a breakup because they're weak or like they feel like they're missing someone.
and again, it's still very just not
It didn't feel
characteristic.
Supergirl to me.
right.
I also feel like I wish the other shows would have more female villains instead of just let's have all
Female
of the
against the
villains
female.
be female in Supergirl.
Right.
Yeah.
That also feels weird to me a little bit, that every single
It's
side.
three
And it
witches
didn't
and
start
three
out
girls.
that way. There were a lot of male villains early on in Supergirl, and she beat every one of them down, and it worked. And as soon as they switched to, well, it's going to be girl v girl, it really went
Just-
downhill.
Yeah, just
Are
stop.
they afraid of the whole, like, oh no, they see a man, like a male villain hitting Supergirl? Is that going to be...
It could
Is
be,
that
but
something
I
they're
mean, I
thinking?
feel like with
as long as she wins
Honestly,
in the
it
end.
could be
Yeah.
because in the first season there's a promo of a villain holding her up by the neck and people lost their mind about it. So I wouldn't be surprised if the studios overreacted.
Welcome to
that.
2018.
Yeah,
You know, I
stop
get
being
that,
overly
but-
sensitive.
Let's compare to Marvel again. Oh, you've got your Jessica Joneses and your Black Widows and your Scarlet Witches, and they're getting hit. Is anybody crying about that?
No, because they're also kicking ass. And
Right.
that's what Supergirl does.
Which is what I wish would have.
Or
I do not
started.
understand this.
She did it at the
She
beginning.
tried. Yeah, she's not doing it now.
And they actually, the first couple of seasons, they set her up as somebody who she feels equal to Superman. Right now,
Well, I
she
was-
does not feel equal
Well,
to
and
Superman.
that's my other thing. Like he was saying, well, why can't Superman come over? The whole point is that he feels that he doesn't need
have
to
to.
because she's got it all by herself.
got West
That's
Coast,
the
East
point. point.
East Coast and
Yeah.
Metropolis.
Yeah.
Then why doesn't she go help him?
Which is
Like,
a
isn't
wonderful
That is
something else?
another good
possibility.
point, because again, as vice versa,
You
it
still
could
get
just
Superman, and you're not diminishing. Like,
from
isn't she
Supergirl.
needs help?
Yeah, you don't need to. In order to keep people, I mean, if you're trying to gear towards a just female audience, which is what I feel like they're doing more so, or at least the majority of you don't need to do that. The people who are tuning into this do not need that. There are other shows that they can watch in order to enjoy that. Stop doing that. It's ridiculous.
It's really
This show panders a lot to a...
Teenagers.
No, not even that. It panders politically.
It is.
The
This
episode,
more so than
this
ever,
more
yeah.
than any of the other properties. It seems like
all
they've
have
made
their
that as...
gun one. Their gun episode.
Their
like
gun episode
Arrows.
was the dumbest damn thing I've ever seen.
The one
I-
on Supergirl
Yeah.
was pretty lame. Even
Yeah.
That's
I
what
mean,
I'm
it's-
talking about, the Supergirl one, where,
Yeah.
where the DEO said, well,
No more
let's
guns.
go to non-lethal everything,
Against
even though we're
aliens.
facing super alien beings that could wipe out the planet.
Now
What?
I'm as anti-gun as you're gonna meet. Even I think this is ridiculous. Okay?
An agency of high-trained soldiers who are just going to lay down their weapons.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, or, you know, I'm going to fire rubber bullets when real ones don't work.
Yeah.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
say Parasite comes back, who's like 11-foot tall
Right.
monster. You're going to walk up to him with a taser.
Yeah, no, that would be real bad.
It's like, yeah, let's turn this up to 11. Zzz.
Oh,
that
I just
tickle?
made you stronger. Great.
Sorry.
The bottom line is we can suspend
Yeah.
some disbelief, but come on, people.
I just
Yeah.
the thing is, this type of show, comic book shows, we tune in for a release from
Yes.
and an
Yes.
escape from reality.
Well, it's
I don't
supposed
want
to-
my reality mixed in with
Yeah,
it.
we
It's
don't
also
need a
supposed to
commentary.
be a metaphor when they do those things.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yes, because the thing is that comic books have always been interwoven with social and political commentary. I do
Like
disagree.
mutant registration and X-Men.
That's the whole. And, well, I mean,
segregation,
Superman was
it's
created as a commentary itself, so that's besides the point. Because I do see people. Again, I read a lot of commentary on the internet, which one should really never do. But but I do. But I see people dumb who are literally not dumb, uneducated who.
No, dumb or stupid works on both sides of the divide.
Well, I'm not even talking about that. I'm just talking about people who are uneducated saying, "Oh, I don't want there to be like commentary in my comic books." Well, I hate to tell you, that's been a big part of it since the beginning of its creation.
I think
but
the blatant side of it, where it doesn't make sense to the
right,
storyline,
but
is what I'm
that's,
referring to.
That's what I'm driving towards. It can still do
Oh, so you're
that.
not calling
It
me
just-
dumb? Good.
No,
Not right now.
Especially,
Well, this
this
time.
time.
especially when in this season, a couple episodes later, their non-lethal weapon with the shield is how one of their characters dies.
Yes.
Not how he dies, but dies in spite of it. Despite of it.
Well, it is really hard to combat 3 heat visions on you, shield or no. I'm just
But
saying.
a gun that fires kryptonite bullets would have helped.
No, I agree.
I also laughed right out loud. So Jean is making the big no gun speech, and Jimmy Olsen is like 7 feet away, and he takes 2 steps forward and says, "I heard what you said." "Yeah, you did. You were standing right there." It was a speech for everyone in the room. Of course, you heard what he
It was a
said.
speech for every viewer. It was just so political, and with as divided as the world is right now, I don't watch it for that.
Well, and quite honestly, I mean, as it was mentioned, there have been moments in all 4 of the shows, but this one was so in your face and in a way that took you right out of the action. I felt it was more organic, like in the Arrow episode where they addressed it, because there was crime and real things with guns, and he's trying to get a hold of the city.
Comics are
Yeah,
better
but they
handled
dropped
when
that
you
real quick with Mad Dog running around next to Ollie
I'm
and
not
bullets at
saying,
people.
hey, I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying it made more sense at the time than what this does, relatively speaking.
And I think that works better when you show both sides, both perspectives.
Right.
Which I
Which
think
they
Arrow
did in
did
Arrow.
better with that.
Arrow
This
did a
was-
much better job. It didn't
this
bother
was-
me in Arrow.
This was guns are bad. Oh, Lena makes a good point, but
This was almost like, we're going through the episode, this is how, let's pause for a political statement, and then let's get back into the action. And it just, it felt so, like everything else in this show has this season,
Forced. You're gonna say forced.
it felt forced.
It was definitely
episode.
forced.
This
Yeah.
whole
Forced
whole
and
season of Supergirl just felt forced in so many places
I
and in
just
so many
seriously
ways.
did not even give 2 craps about her relationship with Mon-El by the end of it.
No.
I was just like, oh my gosh. beat a dead horse.
Well, and that's
Like,
just it.
yeah.
That's what I was saying right after the intro. She'd gotten to a point where she had, quote, gotten over him. And then all of a sudden it was like, well, you need to sort out your feelings. So stay in the past. Oh, there's an almost kiss. Oh, I've decided because I'm leaving the show.
He's still, because then, of course, he's still technically like, Kara was the one that got away, blah, blah. He was doing it for his purposes.
And to be honest, Kara is a much better catch. But
Yes,
just saying.
but he wasn't supposed to come back, blah, blah, blah.
I know. That was terrible.
Is he off the show?
He's off the show. Chris Wood left the show. He might recur like Jeremy Jordan, but he is not.
Sorry,
there
Kristen.
anymore.
I'm okay.
It's not worth it anymore for the story.
It's not. No,
know.
and like I got tired of it too. It's like as much as I liked him, and I thought they have really good chemistry if they're together in real life, but it just move on, honey. Like,
Yeah.
you can do better with your
Try
life.
being single. You're having identity crises as it is. You're not ready to be with a guy. You need to love yourself.
You don't need to be a guy. You kick butt on your
Yeah,
own.
she does.
Well, and I know the Catco stuff wasn't awesome, but we have completely lost the Kara,
Yeah.
the Kara Supergirl dynamic now.
Yeah,
I just-
we
Like,
hardly
it's just
see
not
her
even
as a
there.
reporter.
But here's my thing, though. Like, compared to, again, I'm going to go back to the whole comparative thing, because I talked about in The Flash how, even though the later seasons might seem a little bit... At the end of the day, I don't mind any of the Catco stuff. I mean, yes, that's still a little bit forced, too, but at least it gives her some dynamic instead of being, again, so mopey, so relationship.
Well, and it can
Well,
give the show, you can give the show a different
Yeah.
feel. Like, and going back to Smallville's later seasons, like Clark and Lois,
And
on their day job, going off on stories, and how he fun ways he uses his powers
Yes.
doing that. It adds to the story. It doesn't take away.
Yeah.
You shouldn't just pull that out of the show.
They did a much better job, of developing, which they should, him as Clark into Superman, which is how it kind of should be with this. I'm fine with her already being Supergirl, but half the time she's doing that, she's doing it in such a weird way. I don't understand why it's so difficult.
I will say I enjoy that there's a Miss Tessmacher, though.
Yes, that was really that actually did give me a grin.
And he did the Superman.
Miss Tessmacher!
A little ode to the
That was
Christopher
good.
Reeve movies.
Yep.
Speaking
Which
of,
there is a lot, usually.
Yes. Speaking of odes and things, so we should probably talk about Erica Durance, who played Allura in the
Oh my
recast of her mother, who, as it turns out, is alive.
Yeah, living on a different planet.
On a meteor.
Thank you. Sure.
Reconstructed piece of fragment, Krypton.
Which is
They-
from the golden age of DC, before they retconned it to just the two of them being alive.
Right.
Because it created too many story problems. Which I feel like they should have followed the comic books on this.
I agree.
Anyways, I just love Erica Durance. She's the best Lois Lane.
She was a very good Lois Lane.
She's
Yes.
a very
But,
good-
I mean, for
well,
me, it
I
creates
like
the same
Margot
problem
Kidder.
as Season 1. Oh, there's
too.
more Kryptonians still alive. Season 2. Oh, there's more Daxamites alive who are watered-down Kryptonians.
And
Yeah.
now there's more Kryptonians.
And then now there's
again,
more Kryptonians
with
alive.
witches.
To me, it's the same problem as the Speedster problem on Flash, except for
agree.
now they've done it for every single season.
Yeah.
Well, and it does take away from the whole last son, last daughter of Krypton
Yes.
piece, which is kind of the whole moral of their character.
Literally drives everything that's happening.
Technically, if they're on the meteor, are they still Kryptonians?
They're
They're
Kryptonians. They don't have power, but
Kryptonians.
if they come to Earth, then they do.
They're around a blue star right now, so they don't have powers. They can only have powers around yellow stars.
I mean, if you go to Mars, are you still from Earth?
Yeah, but but like the kids that are born on that meteor, are they technically Kryptonians?
Yes,
They still have
it's
the same
genetic,
genetics.
not...
Where you're from?
Yeah, I mean, well,
Home is where your heart is, Kristen.
Okay.
That's
Well, I guess, I mean, we're
species they
American,
are.
but all of
Yes.
our heritage
it's
is...
species,
Yeah.
not...
I'm English, French, and Dutch, but I'm
At
American.
least. We
Yeah.
have a few others.
Yeah.
Those are the three
Potpourri.
big ones.
Yes, we're mutts.
Yeah.
Lots
But
of
you're
people
still
came over.
human.
Still human.
I don't know.
No. There was
Yeah.
an episode I really liked, even though it introduced cape tricks. But other than that, I
Cape tricks.
Hashtag cape tricks.
That's the best ever. Please put that in when you post it.
Hashtag cape tricks.
Anyway, I really love Laurie Metcalf.
Oh,
yeah.
Cast
Wynn's
as
mom.
Wynn's mother.
Which I was like, okay,
Slash
hopefully
the
we'll get
toy
more
man's
of her, and then
ex-wife.
Wynn leaves.
Did anybody else notice the cameo appearance of the original bad girl from Superman 2?
No.
The girl of the 3 that come out of the Phantom Zone?
Sarah Douglas.
Yeah.
She was the priestess in...
Oh, she
I recognized her immediately, and that's what I wanted to tell you on the messenger group, but you told me no spoilers. There's my spoiler.
Okay.
She was the priestess up on like the spaceship thing when they went to
Fort
that.
Roz?
Yeah. That was, I can't remember the character name of
That's
the...
crazy because normally we catch those right away, but I missed it.
Well, she looks quite a bit different.
Yeah, well, she looks quite a bit older, but
Yeah.
it was immediate. I knew it was her, and I looked it up, and sure enough,
Well, I mean,
yeah,
but
it was.
that's okay. I mean, a couple of the...
They've
again,
done a lot of that in Supergirl with
At the-
pulling
They
in...
like pulling from their...
At the
That's
last...
tradition, though, for all the shows that do it.
At Motor City, wasn't... What's this? Margot Kidder was supposed to be there. R.I.P.
Since they keep bringing back Smallville characters as different characters, somebody at Comic-Con asked Tom Welling who he'd want to be, and he said Lex Luthor, which I think would be awesome.
That would be
Do
pretty
it!
epic.
Yeah.
Oh my god!
Well, they're
Yeah,
talking
makes
about,
sense.
because everyone keeps asking them, they're more talking about doing, like, weren't they talking about doing an animated series?
Yes, and
with,
Michael Rosenbaum and...
Because they are now, because they've been doing a lot of the convention circuit this past year together, and, like, again, the love for Smallville is so intense that at this point...
it's deserved.
Yes. But Tom Welling
that's what
and
they're
Michael
talk-
Rosenbaum
that's-
want to do...
They basic because for a long time Tom Welling was like, I don't want to really have to do a lot with
He
that
was never
anymore.
fully comfortable being Superman.
Yes.
Superman is so iconic, and he's very shy.
He is very
He's
shy.
very
Well,
introverted,
he
but he's
was also
very
trying
nice.
to separate a little while just because he'd done it for 10 years to kind of
Well, it was,
career-wise.
it's overwhelming. But I mean, they're fully interested in it at this point, which would be amazing.
It
do
would.
it.
Yes.
Well, I mean, it would be cool. And in articles, they said that Lex Luthor will have more of a presence in the next season. Well, I don't know if that means physical, but he's
Or he'll
going to
just
have
be
more.
mentioned
Yeah, or
five
he's going to
times.
have
I hope
some
it's
sort
physical.
of.
Bring Lex. I mean, you might as well. The whole other family's been here, except Lionel. I guess is he dead in this universe?
I think so.
I mean, in most of the comics, Lex killed Lionel when he was like a teenager for money.
Okay.
So
But
only in
has this
Smallville did
happened
they.
Here?
I don't know. They've never
No,
mentioned.
her mom is there.
All I'm
Yeah.
saying is they had all the other
I
Luthers. They
agree.
might as well bring Lex on.
Her mom is there.
I mean, and
Her
you,
mom needs
honestly,
to go
you
back
could
to
do a
being
whole
dead on
season.
Wisteria Lane.
You could do a whole season with Lex as the villain, where he's to get back at Superman. Superman's
I
only
agree.
family is Supergirl. That's what I would do if I was a writer, but
I mean, yeah. Right now I'm a little worried, so... Because they spent all this time on the World Killers, didn't care about them.
No.
That Fort Roz episode is when Kara teamed up with Livewire and Psy, and Livewire actually died. Do you think she's really dead?
No.
nah.
No,
I like-
because of the way that character works and can transform
can.
into
She
energy.
Changed into
Yeah.
electricity?
Yeah,
Yeah.
basically,
I love
she may have lost her physical presence altogether,
She's not dead.
but she'll
Yeah.
come back at some
Yeah.
point as
I love that
in the
character.
comic books and stuff. She actually appears as electricity
Yeah.
in
Yes.
the full
It's
body,
like
and I
her.
think that's what we'll see from her. Leslie
so
is
cool.
gone, but Livewire is fully
Yeah.
there still.
I'm okay with that. And then we had Morgan Edge, played by Adrian Pazdar, who was half DC, half Marvel this year. What do we
Wait,
think?
what?
He
He's
was
just
on Marvel
he's so over the
Agents of
top.
S.H.I.E.L.D..
He's like the old mustache
Curling, like
villain.
petting his
Yeah.
cat
Like you
in the
can't
corner.
believe that person like that
He just made
actually
him Dr.
exists in the real world.
Yeah.
He's
Dr.
like an
Evil doesn't have a
artsy
mustache.
I really
Yeah.
liked him as Nathan Petrelli in the first season of Heroes.
Heroes.
I've not seen him do anything since that was as good as he did in that.
Yeah, the first
I
season of
don't
Heroes
disagree.
was really good.
Well, Morgan Edge is...
Can't see them bringing him back for anything. I don't.
No.
He's just a lame generic
He's
tycoon
lame.
villain.
Yeah,
I thought
he's
it was
just-
really funny when they dumped him on the ship in the middle of the ocean.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where I wanted him to stay.
Yes, unfortunately he came back.
That's what I'm saying. And they also said that Toyman died. Did he really die?
I'm hoping he didn't, but
Yeah,
I think,
he's actually more interesting.
Yeah, but with Wynn gone,
But they said he would
Doesn't
come
matter,
back.
he's a Superman
They
villain.
said he would come back. When would come back? I think.
He's recurring. I expect them to come back around the crossover time if
Yeah.
I was a betting woman.
it makes the most sense.
But Jeremy Jordan's on Broadway.
Yep.
And his goodbye episode was...
Ugh.
Ugh.
Yeah, they didn't really give him a send off.
They hugged him a lot.
Let's all hug him while these other DEO agents watch us.
Yeah.
It was really awesome.
It was awkward.
It felt like the end of a high school theater production, and everybody's like crying, and everybody's like, "No, I never did." That's what it felt like.
I also don't really get. I know maybe Brainiac can't do anything in the future with this AI issue that they
Which he's
caused.
referring to real Brainiac at that point.
But it's the future. It hasn't happened yet. So I feel like Wynn should just stay in the present. Like, I don't think it was a good way to get rid of him.
Agreed.
It didn't
It'd
make
be
enough
easier to
sense.
solve now versus going right to the moment when it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, really.
Especially the Brainiac staying behind. Or
Brainiac staying behind, saying, "Well, this is how it happens as far as we know from the history books. So let's look at how we can stop that from happening, as opposed to go forward and work it out there."
Which is what this season has all been about. Stopping Blight.
Blight, who is the advanced
It's not
form
all
of
been about
pestilence.
it, but it's why the Legion came back.
So Blight levels up like a Pokemon.
Yep.
Potentially, apparently, except that they killed pestilence, so not anymore.
Which I thought there was still a chance
Go
for
murder.
Blight because Rain got
Team
murder.
Is it murder when you're defending the
She
planet?
got all the world killer's powers,
But then she's dead.
She's dead on the inside, and Samantha will go up.
As
into
is
sunset.
anybody that watches this show.
Well,
No.
this season of this show, I didn't feel that way after the first two seasons.
No.
See, I still put it above Arrow because I still like the character of Supergirl, and I still like Melissa as Supergirl, but
I put her on
it's
my girls.
dragging.
You've said this multiple times.
Hearts.
Yeah. Sure. She's
I-
just under Morena.
I would put Supergirl above Arrow generally, but this season to me was not better than Arrow season, whatever we just did, 6. Arrow season 6 had a lot of problems, but there were still major points of entertainment. There were still good tries.
Well, it was also a cohesive storyline.
And there was a storyline involved, whereas this was just...
How do we say goodbye to people, and how do we
Right.
fix problems that we made, and why?
Right.
Yeah.
Rain, who was not good.
But at the end, it was more like drizzle.
Although, I wanted to say for your benefit, did you notice who
Well, I
was
thought
a
it was a good
member
joke.
I
of
was gonna
that?
say, Spencer, you're what's going on?
I don't know.
You're not on
I'm
your
not
game
on
today.
fire today.
Do you know where I'm going? Because you see the bold face type on my
No,
notes?
because it was
What's the
Laurie
bold face?
Metcalf and Tim Russ was the main things for me.
Yes, Tim Russ.
Basically
I-
playing a
Star
Vulcan.
Trek.
Yes. Tuvok from Star Trek Voyager was on the Argo City High Council, if you didn't
Yep.
recognize
I
him.
recognized him too.
And I thought of Nick and Sarah, that's her favorite one. There's a lot of things that happened, but most of it was...
Not
Most of it we don't care about.
great.
Their psych out tricked me when Supergirl pushes Rain in the core or the cauldron or the
Whatever.
center of the earth.
all of those things.
And she's laser eyeing and killing everyone. I thought that
Laser eyeing and killing
Pink
it.
vision.
Laser
I'm gonna say that from now on.
Laser eye.
Hashtag laser eye, hashtag hip tricks.
Hashtag Nick episode.
Anyway, when that was happening, I thought that's how they were going to end it before she goes back in time. So the psych out worked, but I thought it was so dumb.
Did you for a minute think she was going to fly around the earth backwards to make the time go back?
I was a little nervous.
Oh, I'm so glad they didn't do that.
I know, but the ring was real dumb.
What wasn't real dumb about this season?
Well, I'm just saying, this is the first time they mentioned that. I didn't realize the ring was how they got back in time. Or forward in time, or wherever they are in time. Yeah, I was.
I guess
really
I just
disappointed.
assumed their ship was how
Yeah.
they were traveling.
I had
Me too.
also assumed that.
Oh no,
But
the Legion of
apparently-
Superheroes, their rings always are their time travel device.
They didn't establish that in the season, Kyle.
They also never called her Saturn Girl.
No,
No,
that's
John
funny.
did. John was the
They
only
did. They
one
just
who
really
would
started-
refer to her
Really?
as twice he did.
There
I was
was
like, I
development.
missed that. 'cause,
But
like, I
both
never
times
heard
I was
that.
like, who's Saturn Girl?
Yeah.
It wa-
Is she from Saturn? Is that how she got her
She's
name?
from.
Is that where she got her accent?
No, she's from
She's from
Delaware.
Titan.
Yeah, Titan, one of the moons.
Oh, she's from
Moon
Titan.
Saturn.
Okay, that's... Okay, that's weird.
I was gonna say one of the
Whatever.
moons, and then I got stuck trying to think of which one.
Which one?
So are all
I
of these
hate to go
planets
back there again,
populated
but
in our
even the
solar
one
system?
episode of Smallville
Some
with
of
the
them were.
Legion was better than this entire season.
Yes,
Yeah, I'm
it
sure
was.
Because they
was.
came in, they did their jokes about the future, like, hey Clark, where's your cape? And little things like that. It works better contained when you try to draw them out over a
It
season.
just doesn't work.
They're flat characters.
Yeah, indeed.
There's
But Lena
more-
knows how to synthesize kryptonite now.
Better than Richard Pryor? Superman 3 joke.
I get
Yeah.
it. I was trying to decide if I wanted to go literal or not. To my response. No.
I like that actress that plays Lena Luthor, but
Katie McGrath.
I like her.
Yeah, she's good.
But
The acting wasn't, aside from Satin Girl and maybe a little of Brainy 5, the acting wasn't the problem with this season.
no.
I agree with his assessment. That's how
And
I felt
I
about
like
him.
Lena. I don't like her paired with Jimmy.
No.
No.
Gross. Again,
It's like,
you
oh, we
don't-
gotta find someone for Mackay to kiss, and
Yeah.
no, it's not working.
And-
Okay, let's have him kiss somebody else. No,
and
that's not
it's like
working
I
either.
never-
Let's go back to Metropolis.
There was one episode in
No.
the first season where she had an
He's not
episode
even
with
the right
Wynn,
kind of
and they
Jimmy.
played really well off each other because they're both smart. And I always kind of wish they had gone further than that one episode. But then her and Wynn, I don't think even shared a scene.
I just
Very
can't
rarely.
handle the tall.
Drink of water.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's just so
not
appy.
Jimmy Olsen.
He's
and
not
shy
even close to Jimmy. Oh,
nerdy and shadowing after Clark.
it drives me crazy.
Yeah, it's not the same Jimmy Olsen. But if you're gonna make the Jimmy Olsen
It's like
what you
he said-
made him, you should at least make him good, which you're not, and it's not the actor. That's
No,
the
the
point.
actor's
No,
not the
he's a
problem.
good actor, and that's what I'm saying. But it's not.
And
he's-
Jimmy Olsen's not Guardian in any place. It's
No!
not right.
Not a thing.
Stop it.
Let him be
Who is
Jimmy Olsen, the
Guardian?
photographer.
He's this lesser known
Stupid.
character who works for Cadmus Labs in Superman comics.
I don't like it.
He's basically a super soldier.
Yes.
He's essentially a DC kind of ripoff of Captain America. He has a shield and
But he works
you need
well
is a
with the
shield.
Justice League. He informs them about things.
That's the point.
mainly Guardian is
shield and steroids.
from Superboy. He mostly
Start with
features
me.
as a teammate of
Don't
Superboy.
start with me.
When are we gonna meet Crypto?
Crypto.
That would be better than what they have. put in it.
Hashtag Kate Tricks Crypto.
Or in the comics,
Yes!
in the comics, a horse survived the explosion of Krypton, and Supergirl had a flying horse.
That would be kind of cool. And now.
Pegasus.
Why does
saying,
she
if you're
need a
gonna go-
flying horse when she can fly? That's stupid!
Well, DC does that.
So here's the big casting news. For the crossover that we've been talking about throughout these episodes, they've cast Elizabeth, otherwise known as Bitsy Tulloch from Grimm,
Yay!
as Lois Lane.
Yay!
Who did she play in Grimm?
She was
She was the
lead.
girlfriend.
But why are they
was
introducing
Juliet.
Lois Lane into Supergirl?
Because
It's
Superman's
her-
going to be there.
But she's
Well, the
good.
hope is that they're going to try to do another backdoor pilot for his Superman show.
That I can support.
I would be so
Yeah.
good for that.
He just did a
And
lady
the
arrow
theory
with
is-
Well, but I don't need
the
Lois
theory.
Lane on Supergirl as a recurring character, but if
I know.
they bring
No,
her in
so
to
it's-
backdoor
it's a
a
crossover.
Yeah,
pilot,
that's why.
Spencer.
It's
And
yeah.
it's the
Wait,
same thing
with
with
purpose.
like they're trying to find something
Let's
that can
talk-
capture the audience of Arrow, and a Superman show would do it for me.
oh, we do it
Yeah.
for everyone.
How can they do a Superman show if they're not letting DC's not letting?
They let him
Henry
use Superman.
Cavill
They just won't let him
left
use
the
Batman.
thing. What are they going to do for Superman? They're floundering.
Yeah.
But
They
what
need
are
to
they going to
realize
do if
the
they
TV
try to do
starts
another
at-
super?
If they've truly lost Henry Cavill,
They have.
They've got a big problem
They have.
with the Superman problem.
I mean, yeah,
He's gone.
Even
He's
then,
done.
it's going to
That's
be like 2 or
announced.
3 years before we see a Superman movie now because
It
now
was
they have
announced,
to
but
go
then
all
it was
through
pulled
the
back.
casting.
Yeah.
It's still in limbo.
Yeah, the rumor is that it's a negotiation tactic, but either way, their movie slate is in such tatters that they're not getting anything off the ground. They keep writing scripts, and then directors quit, and then they rehire new writers.
DC's pretty good at rushing something through.
Pretty good? No.
The word good shouldn't be in there.
I'd
They're
like
good
to
at-
point out.
they're
I'd like to
good
point
at
out.
rushing
It took them.
something at
They
high
accomplished
quality.
rushing.
It took
something
them
through.
3 years to film Batman vs
Semantics
Superman.
are
3 years
everything,
to
though,
film one movie.
Well, that's
That's
what I meant.
ridiculous.
They shouldn't have done the Justice
That was-
League when they did.
I mean, this is also a company that filmed a whole second Justice League movie
And then binned
burned it.
yeah,
They
they
should
rushed
have
through the
just started
second
with
one.
Wonder Woman. Because they hadn't done Wonder
That's
Woman
where
in
they-
a long time, and now it was good.
Because they didn't touch it. We've talked about
Yeah,
that before
that
too. They did not think that lead female superhero movie, even though she's one of the originals, they did not think
Yeah,
that
she's a founder, buttheads.
Okay, they did not think that that was going to be a successful property by itself, so they left it be, let Patty Jenkins and her team come together, do it, and imagine that. It becomes this really well done movie and super successful.
No, don't worry, they'll spoil the second one. Now the first one was successful. Yeah. Oh, well, it was good, so now we've got to add this, this, and this. You must do so.
I constantly say, because people are always saying, where are all the strong female characters? They're there. They're just not letting them be utilized. Believe me. Because they don't think they're...
Because a bunch of idiots are in
Yes.
charge of the properties.
Exactly.
So Spencer's not excited by Lois Lane unless it becomes a Superman.
Question.
Yes.
I love
It's still the same person playing Superman in...
I don't know.
Tyler Hoechlin.
Yeah.
Tyler Hoechlin.
Yeah, I love
So
him.
he's coming...
He's coming back.
He is. That's been announced.
I feel that he is still very good for Superman.
I agree.
I think so too.
If they're going to replace Arrow with one of two shows, and the options are Superman and Batwoman.
Superman.
Superman all day.
Yeah.
As much as I think Ruby Rose would be interesting to watch for a period of time,
I don't know.
there's nothing to develop that show around.
Well, like Kyle
Superman
said,
has 70 years.
Like Kyle
of material.
Like Kyle
At
said
least.
earlier, she has no development yet. Of everything that's happened in the Batman world, that of all things, she has really nothing to go off. It's going to be a same kind of version.
It will be Batman.
Yes. But
with a girl playing Batman.
But
It
with
should just be a
crappier
bad
versions
girl.
of
Well,
everything.
probably crappier versions of villains.
That's
I don't
what
know
I'm
how much
saying.
they'll
It's
let-
going to be...
I was saying, will you even see
use.
Joker? Because
No.
they're
No.
so... They're
That'll be
just
Harley.
different-
Then you have
But they
like-
won't let you do Harley because of Margot Robbie being Harley in
Plus,
movies
and
right
look
now.
what's happened on Gotham. I mean, hello.
We'll treat that as an Elseworlds.
Yeah, definitely. A backstory?
Maybe.
And then
What's the
their
other
new-
casting news,
Their new
anyway?
Alfred show.
No.
Other
stop.
casting news.
Yeah, they're doing an Alfred show.
That's it?
Casting news.
They're doing an Alfred show?
Yeah. Yes, a show about Alfred
Pre.
and him coming
Sean
home,
Pertwee
coming
in
to
it?
America after being a soldier and meeting Thomas Wayne.
Is it?
No, it's not connected to Gotham.
Are there...
I love Sean
superheroes in it?
Pertwee as
No.
Alfred. That's one of
And
the
so
best
it's
parts of Gotham.
it's like I don't
understand.
get. They keep trying to make Batman shows without Batman.
I'm
Well,
gonna write
they tried to make a
strongly
Superman
worded
show without Superman.
20-page
With
essay letter
what was
to
it called?
DC and
Krypton.
Warner
Yeah.
Brothers.
Did that even get renewed?
Yes, it did.
It did get renewed.
Krypton's actually good because
I watched the first episode and I liked it, but
Brainiac's awesome in it. Doomsday's awesome in it. Lobo is in the next season.
okay, I have to go back and watch that then.
I have it on my
Lobo's
backup
Lobo's
list.
in
I
it.
haven't watched
Shut up.
Lobo is one of the funnest
Krypton
characters.
against all odds is a very good show.
I have heard nothing but good and very little bad about it.
Yeah, Krypton's really good, and it's a short first season, and it flows really good, and it's actually a good backstory for the planet.
Shorter seasons.
Yeah, I think I watched
And the
episode
Superman
1.
characters they use on it make sense, and they don't use them in any sort of weird way.
It isn't Gotham, is what he's saying.
That's
Yes.
good.
I have another question about Superman.
Yes, Nick.
If he gets his own show, don't they have to combat with all the stuff they've introduced on Supergirl? Like
No.
his villains that they've already introduced and things that they've
They'd
already...
probably pull other ones.
Yeah.
It's not like Superman only has 10 villains. Superman
Yeah.
has so many villains
A
they
lot
can
of
pull from.
villains.
The problem is people only ever use Lex and Doomsday,
'Cause
but
they-
he
and
has
Brainiac.
so many more.
Well, and they really could use Lex.
And Bizarro.
They just
Yeah.
mentioned Lex, but...
Those are the four. The big
Mixel.
four.
Metallo gets you.
Metallo.
Yeah,
Not
Metallo.
as much.
Mixel-Piddle-Lick or whatever.
Mr. Mixaplitz.
That was actually a good
Mr.
pronunciation.
I liked the cartoon.
I love the cartoon.
It was Gilbert Gottfried.
It was.
You mentioned that.
Stuck with me.
So the cliffhanger on this, obviously Mon-El and Wynn are gone. Jimmy tells everybody he's guardian,
No one cares.
question mark. Kara and Alex are happy together but romantically alone. Jean is retiring to what we don't know. And then fast forward or geographically jump to Siberia and a Kara double appears. Who do you think this Kara
It's
double
going to
is?
be
That's what I
Bizarro.
thought too.
What a pile of crap. It's a direct rip-off of a Superman storyline, and that's not what we watch Supergirl for. If we want Superman stories, we'd have a Superman show. I don't need all those stories being rewritten to fit
there's
Supergirl.
Bizarros of all the super people.
Yeah. It just...
Saying.
Bat Zorro is the best, though. He hides in alleys and kills people.
Nobody wants to see Bizarro Supergirl.
We kind of, in a way, we kind of did in that crossover.
Crisis on Earth
Sorry.
Yeah.
I mean,
And
this
she
is
was like
Overgirl.
Stargirl.
She was
Oh,
Overgirl.
yeah.
She was
Overgirl.
Overgirl. I mean, it was a version
Is
of
that what they
it.
called her?
That's what they called her.
Wait, was Stargirl?
No, Overgirl. Earth X
It could-
Supergirl was Overgirl.
All right.
They could do a different version, Bizarre. Maybe she'll be more exaggerated than she was for the crossover, but it's...
Can she be
So
more
I guess-
exaggerated?
I don't know. I couldn't take... That's the one part of that crossover I couldn't take seriously,
No.
is her trying to be evil. I'm like, Melissa Benoist, you cannot be evil,
honey,
girl.
just stop.
I tell you who was good as evil in that, though, was Oliver Queen.
Yeah.
Well, I
Evil
mean,
Oliver was
Steve-
fantastic.
I mean,
I
Stephen
believed him.
Amell's face when that dude
Hard,
wants
hard,
to do a scowl. He knows how to
But
do
good
a
Oliver
scowl.
killing evil Oliver was even better.
There was. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
The Bizarro thing's kind of already been touched on in a way.
My first instinct wasn't that was Bizarro Kara. I thought it was a redirection of the Rainforce that was pulled and got. Because didn't she grab the rock? And I thought the priestess or whoever said something that rock had more.
Black.
It could also be an Elseworld storyline, which is also another Superman story where Superman lands. Is it where he lands in Nazi Germany and becomes
Yeah.
a force of the Nazis, or does he
Russia.
land in Russia and becomes
Russia.
Russia and
yeah, so he becomes like a force of Stalin.
Red
so
Sun.
it could, Red
Yeah,
Sun. That's
that's
it.
what-
So it could very well be they're doing the Red Sun storyline,
Oh my
but with
God,
Kara. So
that's
you'll have
what I-
Russian Kara versus American Kara.
That's
and it's
what
just
I
gonna be a
read.
train
It was
wreck.
gonna
No,
be-
that's a good Superman
Yeah.
story.
Yeah.
So,
So
either
that's
way,
the
it's
two
not
ways
gonna
that
be
I
good.
see them going with it, just from
I'd rather it be
the
Bizarro.
backstories.
I have another question.
Yes.
Does National City.
Is it
Martian
big?
Man. What?
It's big.
Great.
Continue.
That answered my question. Moving on. With Martian Manhunter, Mon-El, Supergirl, does anyone in National City even notice Guardian exists? Like, Jimmy reveals he's the Guardian.
And everyone goes, "Who's the Guardian?"
Yeah.
He's a waste of
he
space.
stopped crime like 4 times.
Yeah, so those four
Yeah.
people, like...
Yeah, Penny Larson.
He could be like a cop.
More like a crossing guard.
Yeah.
Sometimes she gets those deliveries. I have no answer for you. That's a good
Well, that's the
question.
thing. Like, imagine
We're trying to
he do
study
that
your
press
books.
conference and be like, "I'm Guardian," and everyone would be like, "Who's Guardian?"
Yeah.
Yeah,
What's
that...
that?
That
Guardian.
one girl in the cult knew who he was. They
Right.
said, "You're a guardian."
Oh,
There's
that
one
leads
fan.
to another moment that was really
Everybody has
heavy-handed.
one fan.
Yeah.
Where the cops don't believe the cult person that Guardian's saving from because Guardian's black and they
Yeah.
people.
Yeah, that was again another forced moment.
That was all part of the guns, by the way.
Oh, that was the same episode?
Yeah.
Ugh, just knock it off.
All right, next.
So
These aren't good cliffhangers. That's
you don't care about Bizarro / Russian Red Sun Supergirl?
Red Sun makes more sense.
It does.
But I don't like
Otherwise, why have her be in Russia? It
it. Makes more sense.
it makes more sense.
I just don't care.
I'm sad.
I mean, I wouldn't. The way they're writing, I wouldn't be surprised if they blended the two. That Bizarro car landed in Russia, and they tried to turn it into both.
You can't handle
Yeah.
it. Don't do it.
that'll burn through 2 stories.
They think, you know what's funny though? They'll think they're being clever.
Yeah.
You're not.
Wow, we got spicy. Universally against them. So
Well-
our rankings. So now rank everything. Everything. Just rank one more time. We've lambasted Supergirl.
I was gonna say last time I put Supergirl above Arrow, but now that we've been talking about it, it's fallen.
It's a basement dweller.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, my ranking is still the same. Supergirl is 3 out of the 4.
Mine's the same as Kristen. I'd rather watch Supergirl than Arrow. Is
Same.
why I'm
Yeah.
Legends, Flash, Arrow, Supergirl.
After the season or overall?
Season.
Okay.
Yeah, mine's not the same. If we're just talking the seasons, for these seasons, Legends and Flash tied for different reasons for being better, and Supergirl and Arrow tied for last for different reasons for being garbage.
different garbage reasons.
Yes. Well, Spencer and his dumpster fire things.
That
kind
was
of
Jessica Jones.
that jumps to mind right now.
I thought that this season of Arrow, though, was more cohesive, and there was some slight redemption to
Oh, I
it
agree
over
with
last
Spencer.
season.
That's
whereas
fine.
Supergirl
You
was
can agree with
such
that. I
a
don't.
step down from season 2 that it.
But I also think Spencer and I are coming from the perspective that Superman is our favorite. And this
Yeah, that's
is
a big point.
really terrible, just like soul crushing.
Mm-hmm.
Not
It's just
great.
sad because we were also excited for the first season of Supergirl. Like, the first season of Supergirl was so good.
I like
the
compared to-
second
first-
season was good too.
I love both. Yeah, I like the first 2 seasons a lot. I've said that, but I just don't know what happened. That's what I want to
They
ask.
lost.
I think part of the problem that we're starting to see with the DC TV universe is that the people in charge of it are starting to spread themselves too thin.
Well, I don't think
think
they're good at.
I just wish they were
running.
smaller seasons.
I think that's the problem.
I think that's the biggest problem. It's not finding that, because they have a huge lexicon of material to draw from, and they can do nods and Easter eggs and all this fun stuff. They just are having to have these arcs, and again with people maybe who are less knowledgeable and probably should research more. But ultimately, these seasons, and that's probably a lot to do with CW too, they're just so long. And a lot of shows now, with the way that TV's so saturated, it just works better for storytelling for them to not be as many episodes.
I will take a moment to backpedal and defend Supergirl just a touch, because they did have a massive problem behind the scenes this season where one of the main producers
Andrew
Yeah.
Weisberg.
disappeared because of Me Too sexual harassment.
Oh, yeah. I forgot
And
about all of
they
that.
actually stopped filming halfway through and then had to resume, and I don't know whether that changed any of their story
He was
arc or
show
anything.
running on Supergirl.
He was the
I do
showrunner.
remember that
and
now, so maybe that is.
That-
I said, what happened? Maybe that had
that
a
was
good
it.
portion.
And that could be it. And we also got, a 12-week break between the first half and the second half?
Because they were introducing Black Lightning.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what they needed.
Spot.
They moved Legends into Supergirl's spot for a while.
Aren't one of these shows going to be on Sunday now?
Supergirl.
So
Yeah.
No, that's the death knell.
I thought
Friday is worse.
Friday.
Friday is worse.
And then Saturday. Sunday's
I just
bad.
don't watch
Sunday's
any
fine.
of these
Sunday,
shows.
though,
when they air.
Sunday, the
Sunday's
target
okay.
audience is going to be watching football.
Really?
Maybe not for Supergirl. Maybe they're hoping that they'll... The trouble is, so many TVs are tuned into football on a Sunday. It's going
Once
to...
Upon a Time survived a very long time on their Sunday
It did.
night
Yeah,
audience.
was-
So
was-
did
yeah,
that.
but that was
Same
I was gonna
but that
say
was
the
after. That
X-Files
was
was
that
on
wasn't
Sundays,
directly
and
in
that went on for
competition
9
with football.
years.
It was after it.
Well, and now too, with the ratings being live plus 7,
Yeah.
it doesn't really make as much of a difference when shows are on anymore.
That's why I also don't
It's
understand
the
why
only
they're
genre in this slot.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
true.
trying to fill 23 weeks. That's
Oh,
not how a lot of us watch TV.
Not anymore.
Well, and if you look at the award shows for TV, the Emmys this year, network
Netflix
TV
and
hardly
HBO.
got anything, hardly anything at all. And most of the seasons that did really well, or the shows that did really well, were shorter season shows.
Netflix and HBO.
Netflix crushed it.
Which is impressive because Netflix has been doing that for a while now. Like it's been building.
They make quality
They
stuff.
do.
They're
Amazon
not
TV as
giving
well
us
is making
enough
some
free
good
Yeah,
stuff.
Amazon's really coming back.
Incidentally, Man in the High Castle Season 3 debuts at midnight tonight on
Are you
Amazon
excited?
Prime. Yes, very much so.
Everybody's told me to watch it.
Alternative history shows can be immensely fun, and
There's
that's
also
what Man
a
in the
show
High Castle
called
is.
Britannia. Have you watched it on Prime? It's supposedly very good alternative World War II story.
Ooh,
Anyway,
add to the list. Yes, we're done talking about Supergirl
Yeah,
now.
we've been done.
would you recommend Supergirl at this point?
As an overall show, or as this season?
You answer it however you want.
As this
It's the
season?
same question.
If you started on this season, I don't think you'd ever watch it again. And the only reason I'm going to be watching again is because we do the podcasts on it.
So you have to.
I would have cut the show from my roster if we weren't doing podcasts on it, based on season 3.
That's where I am with Arrow. I don't know if I'd recommend it at this point. But I'm going to keep watching and I'm interested to see what they're going to do.
Say,
Not excited
if they have
to
a
see
new
it, but-
showrunner, then this next season it could be reinvigorated.
It could be good, yeah.
I would recommend it still, but I would say
I would
season
recommend
3 is
it
bad.
mostly just, I would recommend it mostly probably just, I would say just, because I think people who just generically turn into like action things maybe would get disinterested in it. If you have some faithfulness to the comic books, you might still have some faithfulness into watching it and sticking with it. But like Kyle said, it could be reinvigorated. I mean, that's happened before in other TV series, so.
And I still want to watch it. I'm not at the point of have to because I know what's coming, so I want to see that. Anything else you want to say about Supergirl season 3 or what you hope to see in season 4?
I feel like in ways we kind of did that.
You talked yourselves out. Everybody's like Supergirl.
We're emotionally
blue.
exhausted over that.
Well, that's a happy note to leave us on. But for now, what I'm going to do is thank Nick, Hilary, Kyle, Spencer, and Kristen for joining me once again to talk about Supergirl as part of our DCTU series, And because they're emotionally exhausted, apparently, I'm now going to read the thing that is less exhausting. CPU is produced by Backpacker Productions, run by yours truly, the Chief Couch Potato, and hails from Grand Rapids, Michigan. Please, if you like what you hear, would you take the time to rate us on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, or Google Play? You can give us a star rating. You can give us a comment. You can send us a review. Let us know what you like and what you don't. Well, we love it when we hear from people who listen to our podcast because we think everybody likes TV like us. If you have suggestions on shows we might consider, contact us at our website, couchpotatousunite.wordpress.com, via email at couchpotatousunitepodcast@gmail.com, or via social media, Facebook and Twitter. Of course, we have new and old shows to chat about around the water cooler all the time and more coming down the pike. If you missed any of our old episodes or want to know in general what we cover, or want to find out about our new events and episodes, subscribe to our website, our channels, our social media, or find us on Google because it's easy to do. Until the next time, Supergirl is available in its entirety on Netflix because the CW, of course, has the contract, which we've discussed. But in the meantime, our DCTU panel will next reconvene at mid-season for our annual DCTU mid-season roundup, where we'll also talk about the multi-show crossover because that, of course, occurs before the mid-season break. And that will be part 16 of our ongoing DCTU series. So until next time, until next episode, new episodes published every Wednesday. Keep listening, keep watching, stay tuned.
Bye.